welcome to Country Kitchen Approved. I'm here with my mom in her kitchen for today's episode. I think I can canning.
Hi, my name is Carrie, and canning and preserving garden produce has been a part of my family for generations. We're going to show you today some secrets to success.
Today we're going to show you the basics of canning, a couple different types of pickles, and canned tomatoes.
Canning is a method of preserving food in sealed airtight containers such as jars or tin cans. Before canning, food was mainly eaten fresh and the only methods of preservation were drying or curing. Until the early 1800s when Napoleon offered a reward to any inventor who could devise a cheap and effective method for preserving large amounts of food. In 1809, a French confectioner observed that food cooked inside a jar did not spoil unless the seal leaked, and developed a method for sealing food in glass jars. The earliest glass jars were called wax sealers because they used sealing wax. This process was complicated and error-prone, but it was largely the only one available until 1858 when John Mason invented and patented the screw-on sealing lid in glass jars that we still use today. Thanks to him, home canning was now safe and inexpensive. With today's technology, there are many ways to preserve food, but canning is still very popular.
The equipment that you need to purchase is, first of all, one of these enamel pots. It's a large pot that you fill with water, you put your jars down in it, and this is called a water bath. The next is your jars. You've got quart size, pint size, half pints. You have wide mouth jars and you have small mouth jars. You have lids, wide mouth, small mouth, and then you have rings. And you need this gripper to bring it out and set it onto your counter towel. This is a funnel that we've used. You can just set it right down into your jar as you're spooning, and it creates less mess around the rim, which is important for sealing.
Fill the pot with water to where the jars will be immersed and then turn the heat on. For sterilization, place jars, lids, and rings in boiling water and set them out to dry. You could also use the sanitation setting on your dishwasher. Using the canning funnel, fill each jar with the hot food you are preserving to within 1/2 inch from the top. Touching as little as possible for sanitation, place a dry lid on each jar and screw down tight with a ring. Place jars in the wire rack. Set the jars down in the hot water bath. Make sure they are submerged. Then bring to a full rolling boil and start your timer.
And for a quart jar, 15 minutes as processing time. For a pint jar is 10 minutes. And for a half pint, I would still go about a 10-minute process.
Bring the rack back out of the water. Use the gripper to remove each jar and place on a towel.
Very soon after you take them out, you'll be hearing this pop, 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 and that's the seal. You don't want your jars to touch because they're really hot and they just need their own space.
Like your children.
Like children. This process is very friendly to the environment because it's all reusable. The jars are reusable, the rings are reusable, your lids, because once you've created that seal on the can and then you pry it open, then it will no longer seal properly for another one, so that is a throwaway item. But everything else is reusable.
Rinse your cucumbers and slice them into 1/4 inch slices. The key to a crunchy pickle is pickling lime. Fill an enamel-coated pan with 1 gallon of cold water and add 1/2 cup of the lime. Stir to dissolve and add the cucumber slices. Place on the lid and allow to soak overnight. Rinse thoroughly and place in a bowl of ice water for 3 hours.
The colder the water, the crispier they're going to be. You know they've been soaking in the lime long enough when they have a nice clean break.
In a large stock pot, add 4 cups of sugar, 4 cups of white vinegar, 1½ teaspoons of pickling spice, and some green food coloring for that signature lime pickle look. Stir and turn on the heat. When the liquid is simmering, add the cucumber slices and bring to a boil.
We've brought these to a boil, and now we're ready to put them in the jars.
You can use lime pickles in many recipes, but my favorite is tuna salad.
Anytime it calls for a sweet pickle, a lime pickle is going to be better.
In a large stock pot, bring vinegar, oil, pickling salt, and dill seed to a boil.
Normally I would use a pint or even a quart jar for pickles, but Courtney wants to give these away as gifts, and so we're just using them in small amounts, and they'll be real cute and people will love them.
Place dill stems and dill heads in each jar. Pack each jar with as many cucumber slices as you can fit. Using the canning funnel, ladle in the hot liquid and continue with the canning process. Now this is a pickle I'd be happy to find myself in.
As you know, tomatoes is one of my favorite summertime foods. But how do I get that nice flavor all year round? Well, can those tomatoes. The first step is we're going to blanch our tomatoes in boiling water for less than a minute. Then we're going to immerse them in cold water, and then the skin will come off really, really easily. We're going to chop them up, put them in a pot, and bring them to a boil.
Blanching is the plunging of a fruit or vegetable into boiling water for a brief time, then plunging it into ice water to halt the cooking process.
I'm going to cut out the core and then just peel the skin right off. I love tomatoes.
When the tomatoes have been brought to a boil, they are ready for the canning process.
And for a little extra flavor, we're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Properly sealed canned goods can stay in a cool, dry place such as a pantry for a year or even more. But as with anything, if the seal breaks or if it just looks weird, don't even chance it. You don't want to get botulism. That is a bacteria that can grow in improperly canned foods that can cause you to be really sick or even die. So, better safe than sorry.
Adding a coordinating circle of fabric to each jar just gives it a little something extra. So cute!
Thanks for having us in your kitchen today, and thanks for hosting, Mom.
Oh, it was a pleasure, Courtney. I'm glad you got to be here. And for you out there, hopefully when it comes to canning, you can say,